Hiya! Welcome! Records Roundup number 4 is now underway, and I've got 5 items to show you today. A real mixed bag of stuff, actually. I've got a couple of singles that are male openings, we'll do those towards the end. 2 albums, both by the same group, and we'll kick off with something that I mentioned briefly in the previous Records Roundup, a Blu-ray that I was waiting for from France. This turned up a few days ago. I'm absolutely made up that I've finally got this. It wasn't cheap, with taxes, international postage. There wasn't much change out of £50 after conversion from euros off a Discogs seller in France. But I'm talking about Liberation Day, a documentary musical. The Laibach documentary from, I should know the year. The year's on screen, you can see it. Now, I only ever saw this once, probably not too long after it came out, and BBC 4 showed it. And I thought it was one of the best music documentaries I'd ever seen. And I wasn't really much of a Laibach fan then. I liked Opus Dei, brackets Life is Life, and I'd maybe heard 1 or 2 others of theirs, but I wasn't really a Laibach fan like I am now, here in 2022. But I really enjoyed that documentary. I mean, it's fascinating, it's funny, a lot of it in places. I was always hoping that BBC 4 would repeat it at some point, or I'd see it somewhere. As far as I know, BBC 4 only ever showed it the once. If they did repeat it, then I didn't see the listings. Not available on iPlayer. Really wanted to see it again. And because I've now been collecting Laibach, predominantly on vinyl, but I do also have a Laibach Videos DVD that I purchased a few months ago. This was a big one for me, and I watched it again the other night, and it's still an absolutely fantastic documentary about Laibach's visit to North Korea, being the first rock band, essentially, to ever play the People's Democratic Republic of Korea, or whatever the full official name of North Korea is. You can see it's quite a thin but very nicely put together case here. Just the 1 disc. But there's a lot of extras on here. Film trailers, extra bits where you see Laibach touring the Sound of Music album in places like the Holy Land, Israel, the Baltic states, South Korea as well. They went there not too long after they played North Korea, which was quite a controversial thing for them to do. You don't have to be a Laibach fan to even enjoy this documentary. If you're just interested in sort of modern history and different sort of alternative pop culture, then Liberation Day, The Sound of Music is something I would say seek it out, but it's taken me a long time to be able to seek this Blu-ray out, to get it at quite an expensive price, but I'm so happy that I finally got it and I can watch this whenever I want. There's also a couple of full-length concerts on here that I've not watched yet. I'm going to try and get round to those this week. The full concert from the Odd Little Theatre, I say little, it wasn't tiny, but it wasn't massive either, in Pyongyang, North Korea, which of course the documentary is centred around, and also a full Sound of Music performance from Laibach in Austria as well. So those are the 2 things, the 2 extra features I haven't watched on this yet, but I will be doing that very soon. As I say, I keep going on, but Liberation Day, the documentary, I think it's probably my favourite standalone music documentary of all time. There's other ones that I really like the Beatles Anthology series, but as I say, that's a series. For something that's just on its own, just like a feature-length documentary movie, Liberation Day is just absolutely brilliant, just really well produced, well directed, very candid. Yeah, I could stand here all day and sing the praises of Liberation Day, but you don't even have to be a Laibach fan to enjoy this, I promise you that.
So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, good night. I hate to go and leave this pretty sight. So long,
also move away from Laibach and Discogs to a website that I've used before a few times now, and I'm always impressed with them, even though their site's completely in German. It's JPC, which I think is one of Germany's biggest music retailing websites. They send stuff internationally, and it's great because all the orders I've made, I've not had to pay any extra taxes or anything like I would on, say, Discogs or maybe even eBay. I decided to treat myself to a couple of albums from an act. I've never owned any albums by them before. I think my ex-wife had one of their CDs back in the day, so I'm going back a few years. But I've always kind of liked them. They're really Marmite, actually. They're the sort of thing, yeah, they really like them or you think they're shit. So judge for yourself as I show you my very first Scooter album in my collection. This is Age of Love. This is, I think, either their third or fourth studio album. It'll say on screen. Reissued, this will be either 2021 or maybe even early this year. Originally out in the late 90s. It's only on standard black vinyl, so I'm not going to bother showing you this in too much detail. I do like Scooter. They're kind of one of the very rare, very few acts who've sort of embraced happy hardcore. Although they've embraced other dance genres as well, but they do kind of pin their colours to the hardcore mast, as it were, and they've actually had chart success from it. German actors, so you probably would be able to guess. Is there much on here that I know? A couple of these I remember hearing back in the day. The Age of Love, like the title track, and track 4 on side A, Fire, is something that's vaguely familiar to me as well. I don't know, I just fancied getting some Scooter albums. This one and the next one I'll show you, they have been also re-released in coloured vinyl format, but unfortunately the prices of those, JPC didn't have any in stock, and the prices on Discogs are just a bit up there, so I was happy enough to get these for reasonable prices from JPC just on black vinyl. But that one's Age of Love, and then we've got the follow-up that I think was about 1998. This is No Time to Chill. There again, there's not loads I'm familiar with on here, but I do remember How Much Is the Fish, and an interesting one on side B, track number 2 on that side, is a cover of Billy Idol's Eyes Without a Face. Hopefully I'll be able to play you a little bit of that in a moment. Once again, standard black vinyl. This did also get a coloured vinyl re-release, but they seem to be going for a lot of money now. I think these two albums, certainly here, never got a vinyl release back in the 90s, as vinyl was certainly on its way out as a mainstream audio format at that point. Yeah, 2 albums from happy hardcore techno pop band Scooter. I would like to get some more Scooter into the collection, so stay tuned to find out if I do or not.
It's easy to deceive, it's easy to tease, but hard to get release. Eyes without a face, your eyes without a face, your eyes without a face, got no human grace, your eyes without a face. Yeah.
Right then, couple of mail openings left to do now, and it's a couple of singles as well. It's not often I get 2 singles arrive, but we'll do this one first. It's come today in the post, and this is from, I believe the website is Ghost Box Records, which wasn't a record label I was familiar with, but I am now, and they look like they do some interesting stuff when I was having a look at some of their other artists. But it's this particular single, it's like a standalone thing, it's not on an album or anything, not yet anyway. It came out, I don't know, a few months ago, but it originated on the internet around April Fool's Day last year. See what we've got in here, because it looks like they've sent us some flyers and stuff. Got something about an independent music podcast there. It's also got some dates of some sort of events on the back. Invoice, not too interested in that. It will say the price probably. I think the price for this was, including a little bit in like under £2 in postage, this was under £10. And I did look for this in a few places, and eventually I thought, oh, why don't I just try the record label and see if they got a web store. And then I did find it there pretty much instantly, whereas it sold out at a few other places. Just checking there's nothing else left in there. Nope. I think I heard this by accident. I was searching on the Sound of Vinyl and this came up, and I actually ordered it along with a pre-order for something that's out next month. And then I got an email back not long after saying, sorry, that single's out of stock. And I'd listened to it right before I ordered it on YouTube. I thought, that is brilliant. I'm talking about a cover of Madonna's La Isla Bonita by a group called Large Plants. Now, I really hope that I'm not going to get a copyright block for playing you a bit of this in a moment, because it's just absolutely phenomenal. This might be my favourite single of the year. In fact, I think it is. I do like a good and unique cover version at the best of times. I love the original. I'm a big fan of Madonna, particularly that era. And La Isla Bonita was always one of my favourite singles of hers. But this kind of psych rock, really trippy, guitar-heavy cover version of it. I love this look for the sleeve on the front and the back. This kind of 60s/70s faux kind of design, really brilliant. And Ghost Box Records, there's the logo there. No idea about Large Plants, really. I think the leader of the band, Jack somebody, he was in a slightly more successful band, Wolf something or other, for a few years previously, and then apparently he released this cover version of La Isla Bonita on his social media channels. Everyone thought it was an April Fool's joke. It's meant to sound like something that's the original, and that it was Madonna who made the cover version. It's meant to sound sort of predating 1986-87, and it does. This sounds like it could have been from 55 years ago, but it sounds really great. As far as cover versions go, this is one of the best things that I've heard in a long time. Side B, I think that's an original composition. It's called Please Don't Be There For Me. No idea what that's like. Hopefully it'll be similar, sort of sludgy, dirty and old sounding psych rock, similar to La Isla Bonita. But yeah, I urge you to go on YouTube and check out the full video for La Isla Bonita by Large Plants. It is absolutely amazing, and I just had to buy the single. And as I say, it's not on an album, and I think Large Plants have released their debut album, but this isn't on it. You know, if I enjoy the B-side as well, I may well take a punt on that album at some point. Really recommend listening to that. And finally, it's a mail opening, or an unboxing if you will, from EMP. Those of you who've been paying attention to my channel and paying attention to my purchasing habits will know the band that I've been buying a lot of my music for off EMP. This is one of my favourite groups, and it's their 4th single off their current album. There's your standard £5.55 voucher. So if anyone can use that at EMP, go right ahead. Hope I'm holding that up well enough for you to see it. More packing slips and invoices, returns slips and stuff. The obligatory EMP sticker, and the 7-inch single itself has come in a bubble wrap baggie. And here it is. It's Angst, the new single from Rammstein. As I say, this is the 4th single from their current album Zeit, which I've shown on the channel. In fact, I've shown all the singles that have come off that album in Rammstein haul videos and the such like. I think this is the first time Rammstein have released as many as 4 singles off an album since Mutter in 2001, and that actually had 5 singles off it. But I think the 5th and final single, Feuer Frei, was mainly released to promote that Triple X film, or was it Triple X 2? You know, the Vin Diesel thing. But technically that would have been a 5th single off the Mutter album. A lot of physical single releases from Rammstein for this album, which I totally approve of. Side A's Angst, don't know if that's an edit for the album version or it's the actual album version itself. And side B is Angst, remixed by Two Colours. It's Speaking of colours, I do want to get this open and show you. We've not really looked at any vinyl today, have we? But you'll be pleased to know we're going to look at some now. So the last Rammstein single I got was Dicke Titten a couple of months ago. That was just on standard black vinyl. This one is not black vinyl, as you would probably guess. Nice inner there. You don't always get a custom inner sleeve in 7-inch singles, but you certainly have in this. But Rammstein, they know how to package music physically. They're really a band who appreciate the aesthetics of music as well as just how it sounds. But here we are, classed as red. I mean, it's sort of giving off, probably in the light really, orangey hues to me. Whether it'll look more red in editing. There we are, fairly translucent, fairly see-through. Nice centre label. That is Rammstein's 4th single from the album Zeit, Angst. And it's a good single. I think it's a great album, Zeit. It's just strong from start to finish. I wouldn't say Angst was one of my very favourites on it, but there isn't a track on the album that I absolutely dislike. If Rammstein are releasing a single now, then I want to buy it regardless. I'm just delighted that I've got this. Angst by Rammstein.
Und das glauben wir bis heute. So in Angst sind Land und Leute. Etwas Schlimmes wird geschehen. Das Böse kommt, wird nicht mehr gehen. Und die Furcht wächst in die Nacht. Tür und Tore sind bewacht. Die Rücken nass, die Hände klamm. Alle haben Angst vorm schwarzen Mann.
And that concludes number 4 of Records Roundup. Hope you enjoyed it. I want to say thank you to all of you for watching, and special thanks go, as they always do, to my wonderful subscribers and generous patrons. Please see my Facebook group link, my Patreon link, and one for Urban Jungle Contents Insurance down in the description below. I'm going to go now. Plenty of stuff to listen to. What shall I start with first? I will ask you, because there is a slight chance maybe I probably would have listened to the Rammstein and Large Plant singles by the time this video comes out, because you can get through a 7-inch single in a matter of minutes. It's finding time to listen to full-length albums, really. But we've got a couple of Scooter albums to go, which I'm not sure how many people watching this would be overly fond of my particular purchases regarding Scooter, but hopefully I might discover another fan out there, fellow Scooter enthusiast. And if that's you, then let me know in the comments. And as for the rest of you, please will you all join me again next time for my next Records Roundup and record collecting video. Cheers everyone. See ya!